Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch on the outskirts of the internet. It's the Gaming Saloon Reviews for August 24th, 2024, which hosts Peacemaker 248 and Rampant Epsilon.
Hello.
It's more drive as fucking hell, everything happens in the course of 2 episodes.
And what's bad is it doesn't feel like there's any filler later on, really.
No?
I mean, I know there is one arc that I guess you would technically consider filler.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I almost don't feel like that's filler.
Yeah, this does make me go, Riku Sanjo, where the fuck have you been? Where did you go off to?
And like we were talking in the pre-show, I feel like what happened was Drive is such a powerhouse of a show, but it was competing with everyone having Gaim on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I legitimately had to force myself through, I'm wanting to say it was the first 20 episodes when it was first airing, before I finally could get to the point where I was like, okay, I'm just enjoying this because I'm enjoying this, not because I'm trying to hope that it keeps the hype from Gaim.
Yeah. Yeah, because clearly they are cooking with this show, because it's like, yeah, we've set up a mystery, and also I completely forgot that they're like, hey, we're tying in episode 0 in full throttle, just in dialogue in one scene.
And it's also a case of, unlike a lot of times when stuff like this doesn't happen this way, if you don't catch those references, it don't really matter. You get enough context in the show where it's like, oh, okay. And Lupin is a one-off line.
Yep. It is a one-off line from this guy that Tamari caught in episode 0. He's just like, oh, you caught Lupin. Good job, my man. In a condescending way.
And if you don't know about Lupin from the movie, then it's one of those, okay, that could just be someone that he'd caught outside before all of this happened.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to have that mindset of, oh, this is missing content. Because as we were watching that, I'm like, dang, we get Krim's backstory, which that ties in directly to episode 0 also.
Yep.
We get the Lupin line. All of the extra material is getting referenced properly. Heck, I think even Surprise Future doesn't it technically just, it can be brushed off, if I'm remembering right too? That there's really nothing major in the show that it pertains with?
I know they did that little 4-part at the end of 4 episodes.
But that's all that is. If you ignore that completely, then it won't matter.
Yeah, and even I think all of that is technically a swerve, because all of it is technically lying to you.
Yeah.
And it's that thing about Surprise Future that I think people forget about. Technically, you're being lied to the entire time until it's like the hour mark. Everything you assume to be the case is wrong, because it's all has been told to you by the wrong person. To the point that I even question counting like Dark Drive as a Dark Rider, because technically it's someone else borrowing the belt.
Yeah.
Like, technically Dark Drive is a future rider. It's just not the person we see using it is not the person who's used it in the future.
Yeah, it's one of those. This batch kind of made me remember. Oh right, this show does have extra material. It doesn't really matter for the show proper.
Yeah.
How many times can you honestly say that one?
Hi 01. God damn it.
I mean, it seems like so frequently we either have it feel like you're losing content because you can't see it, or the show has to make it a point to have a recap portion of the episode after the movie was supposed to exist for.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those, I get you want to make it tied in, but make it tied in a way like Drive did. Have it be a thing that exists, and if people can see it, they can see it. But if they miss it, it really doesn't affect anything. It's
No, because
blinking you miss it lines.
Yeah, and if we have to, we give you all the relevant information, because all the relevant information for the episode from episode 0 is told by Tamari to Gin, who does not know. So it's like, oh yeah, I caught some copycat serial killer guy, and you just see like bits and pieces from episode 0, and it's like that's the only relevant portion in this conversation that we need to know about. We don't need to know that technically Protodrive's in the background fighting a roid feud in that episode.
Yeah.
That could just be a surprise for people like, oh, hey, this is from episode 0. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, wait, Protodrive's in the person in this episode? This was all happening in the background of that? And I'm like, yep.
And on top of that, the whole backstory for Graham, that also kind of is episode 0, but it's told in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So it really doesn't even feel like it's rehashing what was already there either, which is the other problem that happened.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie.
It's almost like they knew what they were doing with this.
I'm not gonna lie. If this show can cook any harder, I feel like it can hold up. This could go up, maybe, in my rankings.
It's one of those.
Maybe.
It's one of those in all seriousness. It wouldn't surprise me if this wouldn't be rival and double kind of deal.
Oh, hey, the show that was written by Double's writer is just as good as Double? The fuck you say? Also, it doesn't help that I'm like, okay, what's else on my mind recently? Kyoryuger? Oh, who wrote Kyoryuger? Oh, the same guy. Oh, that quintessential Sentai series that everyone likes was also written by this person. Literally, Riku Sato, where the fuck did you go? Why aren't we bringing you back to write a season of Rider? Why are we bringing back fucking Inoue to write Sentai? We should bring Sanjo back. Are you busy just writing the manga now?
And see, that's what's so funny. I really want to do, and I think we should put it on the docket at some point, a rewatch for Gaim.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think out of the shows that have hooked me hardest, that's the only one I've probably not rewatched.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, will it hit as hard on a rewatch? Or is it a case of it hit so hard out the gate that that's what kind of stuck in everyone's mind? Because I have to wonder, especially after rewatching Drive, not just this time, but in the past even, I fully saw that it was that whole coming off of Gaim is what kind of, I wouldn't say soured, but kind of weakened the impact Drive could have had. Which is funny because that is the exact opposite of how Double did.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder, and like I said, out of the four big hitters for me at least, because I'll admit 01's strong, but it's definitely at the bottom of the four for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only one I haven't rewatched. So I'm almost willing to go ahead and call it with you there and just be like, yeah, let's throw that on at some point. It doesn't have to be soon, it just at some point.
I just put it at the bottom of the list of the stuff for TGSR on the project website.
If we want to bump it up, then we can, but I mean...
Well, the list is not in any particular order. It's in the order I put them on there.
Right.
What we end up doing next out of it, I don't remember if I've said what we're doing after Drive.
I don't remember either.
Oh, well.
Pretty much what we need to just stick with is if we say we're going to do something after whatever show we're currently on, don't take that for granted until we're almost done with the show we're currently on.
Fair. Because I might change my mind.
Because I feel like it would... I feel like even right now it would be too early to try to say what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we start hitting the batches for late 30s, early 40s, maybe. That would be a little more definite.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, we're on week 3 and we have 16 more weeks to go.
Yeah. Which, bi-weekly show, so 32 weeks?
Pretty much.
What can happen in over half a year?
Mm-hmm. We'll be halfway through Gav by the time we're done with Drive. Which means that they'll be done filming the show by that point. Which is now going to be just an insane thought. Because it already kind of blows my mind that I'm like, yeah, as if you watch an Ultraman show, the show's already been filmed by the time you watch episode 3 in full. Like, it's already done. And now with Rider, it's going to be like, well, by the time we start the show, they're already halfway done with the show.
I get why they're pushing harder for that, though.
Yeah.
01 kind of proved why they needed to change that. To be fair.
Yeah, having a bit more in the can in case shit goes wrong is not a bad thing.
That, and yeah, it probably was writing with Saber. After we did the watch of it, yeah, that probably was the bulk of it was writing. But I have to wonder how much limitations from what was going on around that time also played into that.
I do wonder if them filming so far in advance, how much that's going to affect, like, the last minute changes that we know always happen with Rider, where they're just like, oh, we were going to kill this character, but then we decided not to because this character was really popular, or this character was not going to get a form until we saw that the character was really popular, and then we decided to give them a form. I'm like, that's going to be harder to do now because, like...
Yes and no.
Yeah.
If they're adapting more along the lines of how movies and TV shows are done here, are done where reshoots are a thing,
Yeah.
they could work something in. It just depends on how they're going about it. If they're saying whatever they've filmed is what it is kind of deal, then yeah, that's going to be harder to pull off, if not impossible. But it could also be a case of they might be leaving it open enough to where they could do reshoots to add stuff in like that.
Yeah, I also wonder if this will help suit diversity and, like, well, Maybe we can stop having rider villains recycling like 3 to 4 suits to make the suits now. Maybe they'll be all original again.
Nope.
Yeah, I doubt it. This doesn't fix writers' budget issues. It just fix the time it takes to decide, oh, well, there goes the budget. Well, we got to recycle like 4 suits to make a thing now.
If anything, it'll make it worse.
Oh, God, yeah.
In all seriousness. Because then we won't have villains getting kit bashed, reused pieces of suits, but we'll have rider forms being that way.
Oh God, the day a rider's final form, a main rider's final form is has recycled suit parts from outside of its own show will be the day like, oh yep, rider's done. They literally have no budget anymore.
I don't think it'll go to the point of final form.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't surprise me if secondary and tertiary final forms might end up that way.
I mean, it's already starting. Poor Majade and Valverid, both like Majade at least is like it's her stuff with new bits, but Valverid over here having to recycle and get shit from like 3 other riders to get his not Metal Cluster Hopper form. And unfortunately, the 2 of them only get to use twice in the show because, oops, we decided to introduce them like right at the end. On purpose, mind you. On purpose. It was the plan.
Not a very good plan.
No, and it feels like, I also feel like when was this the plan? Because some part of me feels like it wasn't until later in the show that it's like, oh, we can't do this until like right at the end. Welp. Anywho, Drive 9 through 12. Anything else before we hit recaps and stuff?
No.
Tommy?
I said no.
Oh, okay. Discord didn't pick up for some reason. Thanks, Discord. All right, so episode 9. How can I get used to the cool body? We kick off with Krim introducing Fire Braver, Rolling Gravity, and Shift Technique. So Tamari gets a new form, but in order to use it, he must be cool. And Tamari, unfortunately, cannot be cool on demand.
Not at all.
Poor guy. So he fails transforming in the pit. We get to our case, which is a string of house fires that have reports of slowdown at the scene. When they go there, they confirm it, and a kid, Nozaki, helps them get a clue because his robot, the batteries exploded on it. And as they investigate all the other appliances and pretty much anything else electronic, or electrical, and the house, they all kind of show signs of short and kind of getting overloaded. A couple guys in suits are at the scene. Tamari and Kiriko try to talk to him. As it turns out, they're Roid mute, so they give chase. We had a fight scene and stuff with them, and Volt arrives, who's our big fancy Roid mute for these 2 episodes. He's electric, if you couldn't tell. He's an electric-based Roid mute. Fight breaks out. Tamari tries to go technique again, fails, goes wild, ends up taking out one of the 2 Roid mute buddies Volt has, but the other 2 get away since some civilians got in trouble, and Tamari has to go help them with Mad Doctor's help, which I'm not sure how helpful that is, considering Mad Doctor was hurting Tamari to heal him, but all right, sure.
Maybe it's only because it was actively being used on him.
Fair. Our 2 Roid mutes run in the chase for a little bit, who just tells him, like, all right, keep doing what you're doing. Bye. And Chase is like, Why did I not chew them out? That's against character for me. Why am I being nice? I need to stop being nice. Back over to the office, they figure out that the Roid Mute seems to be sucking up electricity and stuff for some purpose. They eventually figure out that it's in a scrapyard is where the Roid Mute's holding out at. Nizoki also followed the Roid Mutes there and he got captured. Now he's stuck in some device thing that is trying to kill him in order to gather the electricity. Tamari and Kiriko arrive. They try to get the kid out, but they can't because of the electricity and stuff. And this is where Tamari gets to be cool and goes technique and then taps away at an invisible keyboard to save the kid. And also, Technique Daily has a rear view camera. And I think it's the only one with a rear view camera, which that's, you know, a bit old. But it's like 2014, so eh. He saves the kid, goes after the couple of Roid Mutes. One of them tries to get away with a device. Tamari shoots him down, but he still gets away. He ends up fighting Volts. A combination of Braver and Gravity and the like eventually blow him up and kill him. Except he's like, I won't die here, as he explodes. The other Roid Mute does drop off the whatever Volt passed off to him to Heart. And we end the episode with Tamari and Kiriko visiting the kid, and Tamari giving him a little drive badge, be like, thanks for helping me out. Don't tell anybody I'm drive. Which is very, I realize now that is a very Showa thing, because that's what happened in the original series. I'm also appreciative that we're not keeping this kid around and making him a part of the office and making him central to plots and stuff, like the original series would have done.
Right.
Thank you. Thank God. I get the show's for kids, but also we do not need kids as the focus of the show. They're not why people tune in to watch the show. We continue on to episode 10. What is the belt's past? Tamari gets teased about his Christmas Eve birthday because his birthday's on Christmas Eve, and he ends up getting like a combined celebration of his birthday and Christmas by all of his family and stuff. And he's a little sad that he doesn't get like those separated. A little bit of a rolling blackout happens as electricity seems to be getting drained. Prim notes that maybe Volt's involved with this somehow. We do see him get revived in the junkyard. Tamari reopens the case, find things out. Prim and Kiriko end up checking out a book called Unholy Night that Volt's human disguise or human identity or human copy, trying to find the right word to describe, because the Roid Mute is not this guy. This guy actually died like 4 months ago of like some illness. But the guy wrote this book, and it involves a rolling blackout and stuff of the city. And they figure that the Roid Mute's trying to accomplish this plan as well. But as they finish up, Chase shows up, and him and Tamari battle for a bit because that's just what they do. I will say this. I don't feel tired about Tamari and Chase fighting each other.
Well, you know, and I know why. And you probably don't realize it right offhand either. You know the main reason why we don't feel dumb with it?
Because it's not the same fight every time.
That. And we have character growth out of Chase every time.
Yep. I'm also pretty sure there's not been a definitive winner out of like 90% of these fights. Like they've always kind of ended with like one or the other kind of going, all right, I'm done fighting, bye. I have to go deal with main plot stuff, or I'm done fighting, bye. Or I've stalled you long enough, goodbye. Like none of these are like a definitive showdown between the two of them. They've always been like fights for another reason. I feel like we need more of that, especially in late game writer with final bosses of like, can we not feel like we're fighting the final boss for what should be the last time, but it's not the last time because we still have 6 episodes left. But yeah, the two of them fight it out. Hart eventually shows up and goes, I want to fight Tamari too. And Krim basically goes, nope, you're not fighting him. I'm calling the car. We're leaving. Goodbye. Literally drives them out of there and even does a flip with the Trideron to make it face the other way as they drive away. Because, oops, there's not enough road for it to do like a spin around turn. So we have to just flip it upside down real quick. But back in the pit, Prim and Rena basically lay out that Hart is the one that killed Krim. At least the human part of, at least the human version of him. His consciousness got downloaded into the driver the day he died. But also, Bono's name dropped. And I had to take a minute to go, wait, Bono gets name dropped in episode fucking 10?
Yep.
We don't see this. We don't see digital him for, I think, several more episodes.
And we never see physical him.
No. Wait, no, we do in flashback. But we never see him in, like, present because he's dead as well. But I'm like, fucking we are not only name dropping Bono, we're also pointing out the fact that Bono is the one who technically made the Roid Mutes, because all Krim built was the core driver stuff that powers the Roid Mutes and the shift cars and the Trideron and all that. But Bono made the Roid Mutes. He got the core drivers from Krim, who was a friend of his. And then the Roid Mutes rebelled and then killed Bono and then killed him. I'm like, I know all this. I was not expecting 10 episodes in to be like, here's the backstory. Here's not just a part of the backstory. Here is the whole backstory. I don't think we get anything else like an additive for like the rest of the show. I don't think, except for a couple flashbacks. Like the basics of what the backstory for Drive is right here in episode 10. And I'm like, I was not ready for this show to just go. Anywho. Prim does take Tamari to like the remains of his mansion to tell him all of this stuff. He also talks about how Protodrive was also killed by Hart and was Krim's way of like trying to stop the Roid Mutes, but since Protodrive died, he's been kind of like helpless and stuff. Meanwhile, as this is happening, Kiriko tries to go to the junkyard to investigate, and then Volt calls her on a phone, be like, by the way, I'm gonna cause a major blackout. Stop me if you can. Bye. Go back to Tamari. Him and Hart are hashing it out. This Hart shows up to kill him. Tamari does his best, but he gets the crap beat out of him until he realizes, oh, Hart's big fancy dead zone technique, or just him just supercharging himself, is all located in his heart. And Tamari decides, well, I'm gonna rip Hart's hearts out, and tries to do just that. And while he's trying to do this, Tamari's like, well, Krim, leave. I will literally rip this belt off the suit and throw you if necessary. Because you can replace me, but we can't replace you. And Krim's like, no, I won't. And we end as the struggle continues. So I guess any thoughts halfway through?
No.
Also, again, part of the surprise of when it comes to watching Drive, It didn't register for me till now that this is a 3-parter.
Right?
The Go episode is the start of a 2-parter. This show just, it cooks. I forgot how much this show just cooks, as the kids say. Because I am of that age where I'm just like, yep, the kids have their own terminology for stuff. I just accept it. But yeah, we'll keep going with episode 11. Who can prevent the dark Christmas Eve? Kiriko informs Rina about the situation as we kick off. She also finds out that Tamari and Krim are out of contact. That brings us to Tamari and Krim as they're trying to having their argument, and Hart is trying to explode the both of them. Chase shows up and breaks up the fight and basically saves everybody involved unknowingly, because they see bits and pieces of type technique in the belt and think Tamari and Krim are dead, except not. We see Tamari wake up in the drive pit. Kiriko crying about it because, yeah, I think no, technically Full Throttle is after this episode. My bad. I believe chronologically Full Throttle is after. No, wait. No, it's before this 3-parter. My bad. Or somewhere in this 3-parter is Full Throttle, so Tamari and Kiriko have a bit more of a relationship now. But yeah, thanks to a combination of a few of the different shift cars, they fake the death to run away. And Krim's a bit upset at Tamari for willing to throw his life away for the fight. And Tamari's like, I'm sorry. Getting a little bit better now. But to help Tamari, like, motivate him, Kiriko's like, I made reservations at a fancy restaurant for Christmas. Solve the case, please. Back at Roidmeat HQ, Hart's getting patched up. Chase is gonna go with Brain to kind of like finish things off, and they got that thing they got 2 episodes ago sitting on kind of a blanket of sorts with something underneath it. Eventually, Tamari in investigation finds out that a Nishiori Goyu wrote a book with the guy that Volt was impersonating. And this Goyu is a guy he arrested in the episode 0 of the series that was mimicking serial killers. So he goes to him to investigate, try to figure out something. Eventually he figures out that they have to go to the Electro Mall because it has something in the background of it that's similar to the device that was in the junkyard, and that's what Volt's going to use to kind of cause the massive blackout. But once they get there, Tamari is waylaid by Brain and Chase, so he has to fight the pair of them, while Kiriko tries to go off and stop Volt herself. Once more reminding me, God, if this was a later era show, she'd have a fucking belt by now. God. Because it also reminds me, right, she doesn't get a belt. God damn this show. That's like my one major mark against the show, I think, is her never getting a belt. For as much as she goes and does shit in this entire fucking show. Urgh. Anyway. She gets on scene with the Trideron. Unfortunately, the Red Mute's gone the kaiju mode with a bunch of viral cores. So she's on the back foot. Tamari eventually talks Chase into just letting him go and being like, we will fight each other to the death tomorrow. Today, I need to go stop a blackout. But Brain gets upset about this and shoots Chase. But Tamari arrives on scene. Through him and Kiriko, they manage to blow up the device and blow up this copy of the Roid Mute. Day is saved, but then we see Chase kind of like drop out of his human identity, and we see he is Roid Mute 000, which is very important for later things. Don't worry about it. Also, a secondary goal from all of this was to gather enough electricity to get Medic, a Roid Mute hired up, back online, and now she's up and running. But the team celebrates at the restaurant because, surprise, not only are we celebrating Tamari's birthday and Christmas Eve, but also the SCU's Christmas party. Poor Tamari. Especially when it felt like it was just going to be a night with him and Kiriko. But that finally takes us to episode 12. Where did that white Kamen Rider come from? Also, sneak peek of Mach in the previous episode, because he like saves Kiriko for a hot second. Anyway, episode 12. We start off with Gen getting laughed at by other police individuals because he's a part of the team that is based out of the DMV. Poor guy. They get reports of a slowdown happening, and one of the rig mutes possibly pulled it off, but when they investigate, there's no signs of a slowdown. Also, Tamari and Gen are the ones investigating this because Rina's busy the chief's busy, and Kiriko's at home prepping for her brother to come back home from being in the States. While Tamari's investigating, a photographer hassles him for a bit and challenges him to solve the case before him, before flipping off, because that is just Go's modus operandi. It's just to backflip his way in and out of scenes. I forgot how much he does that. Eventually, Gen and Tamari figure the guy that broke in and stole the statue. It is some guy at a factory. They end up tracking him down, but a Roid Mute shows up, sends Gen over the railing and to slowly fall to the ground as Tamari fights the Roid Mute. Roid Mute eventually gets away, and Gen falls safely to the ground because thankfully the slowdown actually slows you down and does not impart the forces of gravity on you in the process. Later, Oda shows his amalgamation of the pieces of drives, different forms he's seen as one version of drive, and that'll come back later for the Harvey cinema. Whatever stupid reason. I don't know why that callback exists. Tamari and Q have a run-in with Go before Oda, with a new slowdown protection device, manages to track down the guy that they think is the Roid Mute. It's not. He just has a bracelet that lets him activate a slowdown. And Go ends up showing up and be like, "Oi, I know who the real Roid Mute is. It's this guy." And the guy shows up and starts shooting him. Tamari tries to find him for a bit, but then Go shows up. He becomes Kamen Rider Mach, and then spends the entire last 5 minutes shooting the Roid Mute and stuff and running him off. Medic ends up picking up the Roid Mute and kind of leaves as well. So we find out that this camera guy, Go, is Kiriko's brother, and we're kind of left in surprise by this as the episode ends. So how do you feel about the back half?
I still forgot how much actually just happens between these episodes.
This really is the show where we're gonna just hit the gas and go, and we are not gonna let up. And it is all the better for it, because it's just no, we're just gonna go. Things get connected, stuff plays off. Every episode feels like it matters, especially if it initially feels like it doesn't matter. Because you start the Volt episode and you're like, oh, this isn't going to be a super important thing. It's just going to be in a random episode, random two-parter kind of filler thing. And it's nope, it's a three-parter. Also, by the way, the Roid Mute is going to cause a major blackout. Also, the whole thing was technically a front to get another Roid Mute back up and running. Also, here's Chase's identity. Also, here's a Go teaser if you missed the movie. Also, here's Technique's debut. in like the first part of the episode to really swerve you, because it's like, oh wait, this is supposed to be in the second half of these two-parters. And then the Go episode's just like, oh yeah, we're not gonna like really tell you goes Kiriko's brother goes Kiriko's brother until like right at the end. And that's your stinger for next week. And there's still more to him that we don't get to talk about until 2 weeks from now.
Right.
Again, I am forgetting how really fucking good this show is. But I guess any other thoughts?
No.
All right, then. In 2 weeks, we'll continue our run-through drive. I believe next week should be next batch of 4 episodes, and I think the week after. Oh no, not for a while. Never mind. Right, that's not till the 20s. I was about to say, is it time for Spring Tyson stuff? Nope, not yet. We're just not going to hit January episodes, so no.
Yeah, no, not yet.
But yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks. But between now and then, tomorrow will be something. I know the schedule technically says Kingdom Hearts 2 randomizer, but it might not be that. So
I'm leaning towards it might be, but it might be us doing a bingo.
All right, then next Thursday I continue Retro Achievement wheel stuff. We're not doing Power Stone because I can't get a copy of Power Stone to cooperate. Specifically, we have Retro Achievements. Every copy of Power Stone runs. It just Retro Achievement does not recognize it for some reason. I don't know why. It's how they do game recognition. But yeah, that'll be next Thursday. Next Friday, we'll be continuing our story run through of Destiny 2. I'm gonna get my bounty stuff sorted between streams, just so I don't have to worry about it. If that will help progress things. And then next Saturday,
It's whichever.
especially because it's just like, do these 3 bounties while you're doing other stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. I would like to move on to the good stuff. Which again plays into the Destiny does shooty shooty bang bang really well. Everything else is the problem. Oh god, everything else is the problem in that game. But that'll be next Friday, and then next Saturday will be TGS. We'll talk shop on Gamescom, like opening night live and whatever else came out of the show, amongst other things. So if you like what you're seeing, folks, drop a follow. Really appreciate chipping away. Go at their ! social in chat. We'll give you a link to, or we'll give you the @ to all of our social media on Mastodon, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And Discord and chat gets you to this link. Drop by, say hi. We got a Dropbox for questions there, and we will see you next time, folks.